Hello, friends, and welcome to Chrono Beyond. Here we talk about history, but not the dry, memorized kind, and not the loud, angry versions filled with slogans. Today, we're going to sit down for a calm, human conversation about one of the most complex and sensitive conflicts of the modern world, Israel and Palestine. Let me be clear from the start. This video is not about taking sides. It's not about labeling one group as purely right and the other as purely wrong. The goal is simple, understanding. Because nothing can be solved without it. When people talk about this conflict, they often say things like, this has been going on for thousands of years, or it's a religious war. But the truth is, it isn't thousands of years old, and at its core, it isn't religious. No one is fighting over which prophet mattered more, who fasts on which holiday or which holy book is more sacred. This conflict is about land and nationhood. And when a conflict is described as eternal or purely religious, it starts to feel unsolvable. But this one was created by human decisions, and that means it can be changed by humans too. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to the late 19th century. At that time, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. According to Ottoman records from 1878, about 87% of the population was Muslim, 10% Christian, and only 3% Jewish. Arabic was the everyday language, and especially in Jerusalem, people of different faiths lived side by side. An Arab Christian musician named Wasif Jauhariya wrote about growing up in Jerusalem, studying the Quran in school, and celebrating religious holidays with both his Jewish and Muslim neighbors. This matters because it shows that religion itself was not the original problem. At the same time, something else was happening in Europe. The 19th century was the age of nationalism. Across Europe, every nation wanted its own state. In this context, a Jewish journalist named Theodor Herzl came to believe that Jews could never be truly safe in Europe. His solution? Establish a national homeland for the Jewish people. This is where Zionism emerged. Important to note, most early Zionists were secular. They wanted a state for Jews, not necessarily a religious government. Then came World War I, and here's where Britain enters the story. Britain, in this period, made decisions that still affect the region today. They promised land to the Arabs, promised a Jewish homeland to the Zionists, made agreements with the French, and kept Palestine under their own control, all at the same time. After the war, Palestine became a British mandate. Jewish immigration increased, land was purchased, and Palestinian farmers who had lived and worked there for generations were displaced. Tensions rose. Palestinian national identity began to form, and the first uprisings against British rule emerged. By 1947, the United Nations approved a plan to partition Palestine. The map looked more like a jigsaw puzzle than a viable country. Soon after the 1948 war broke out, Israel won the 1948 war and gained more land than the UN plan had proposed. Over 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes. For Israelis, this was the birth of their nation. For Palestinians, it was the nakba, the catastrophe. Years passed, and in 1967, the Six-Day War occurred. Israel took control of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, and other territories. From here on, the broader Arab-Israeli conflict shifted into a more specific Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Settlements were built, intifadas occurred, groups like Hamas emerged, and separation barriers were constructed. Each side claims self-defense, and each side believes in its own historical rights. Palestinians say they have been denied a state for decades and live under occupation. Israelis say, after centuries of persecution, the Jewish people finally have a homeland and must protect themselves. The truth is that both narratives have internal logic. This conflict did not originate from holy books, nor from thousands of years ago. Its roots lie in colonial rule, nationalism, and human political decisions. And because it is man-made, it can one day be solved by humans. If you've stayed with Chrono Beyond this far, thank you. Here we explore history not with shouting, but with understanding.